Welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook, and it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday again. That means you're in for a treat. And that treat is myself, along with Nicola Ardron.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm alright, thanks. I'm alright.
Okay. You sound slightly stern. Is there a reason behind that? Or?
It'll all become clear, Adam.
Okay, it's almost like this is planned. Gary Bailey is also with us today. Gaz, how you doing?
Hello. I'm okay.
You seem really up. Have you taken? I nearly broke the time-space continuum. Then I was going to say, have you taken feedback on your voice to heart or not?
Yeah. From the future. Clearly, there's some kind of Terminator thing going on.
It is. Well, I mean, listen. People know we do it every year. That we're in the midst of Game of the Year season. That's December. We've normally actually done it by now, sometimes, but we're in the middle of it. So we're sort of all mopping up games and making sure they're all, the games we want to talk about are done, and we can rank them. We can give our awards out. So it's a very busy time of year, isn't it?
A little bit.
But that doesn't mean you're not going to get a regular podcast. What it does mean is we might be talking about some old games, and it does mean you might not get as long a podcast because we kind of, like I said, we are in the middle of it. But let's just dive in and let's go to Gary. Let's say to Gary, because there are games still happening, there are games still being reviewed, there are games still being covered. But what have you been playing, Gary Bailey?
I got me a Switch. So, yeah. Sorry, Nicola. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a sore point.
But yeah, I've been playing Mario. Oh, it's so good.
Isn't it?
Oh, it's so good. I'm right near the end now.
Wow, already? Well, it's not that long, actually, to be fair.
No, I mean, to be fair, I know that beyond the end is... Well, it's not the end, really, so I'm at the end, near the end of the story, at least. Yeah, I've had so much fun with it. That and Zelda. Zelda.
Yeah.
I could pour hours into that. Already have. And just get lost in the world, just roaming around and getting the shit kicked out of me by moblins and...
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that happened a few times.
Gary, one could even say that they're two potential Game of the Year contenders, couldn't one?
Yes, one could.
How topical.
Yes.
How very topical.
And if you want to know more about what Game of the Year is, we haven't done it yet, so it doesn't. This isn't a spoiler, but you can listen to the Game of the Year podcasts in a few weeks' time. What are your feelings on Zelda so far? Like, because at the time it came out, like everyone's going mad for that game, mad for it, you could say, and it had a bit of a renaissance later this year when people started sharing videos of things thanks to the new update to the Switch that let you share vids, and people were sharing things again that were kind of blowing people's minds all over again. Like, so playing it, I mean, not a year on, but 8-9 months on. How does it feel? Like, what are your impressions?
I'm blown away by it. I mean, just the sheer volume of stuff that there is, and it is a proper free game. Free roaming stuff. It's there's the obvious stuff, like there are your quests and stuff to do, but I do find myself just wandering off.
Yep.
And if you do wander off in the wrong direction, the game will let you know pretty swift. Usually with the aforementioned moblin, massive club to the face, which, that happened. But no, it's brilliant. And just the attention to detail of it. Just little things that just you just don't see in very many games. And I suppose it's that whole Nintendo thing, isn't it? It's the Nintendo Touch or whatever it's called, whatever people call it.
The Nintendo Charm, Nintendo Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm running out of cliches here. But...
Nintendo Touch sounds a bit. I'm not right happy about that, Gary. If I'm honest.
Perhaps it's related to that thing they were going to release. That what was that? Was it the thing you put on your finger?
Oh, it's getting worse.
Heart rate monitor.
Yeah.
Heart rate monitor that they never came out in the end.
I thought it did on the...
No.
I might be thinking of something else.
I might be thinking of something else as well then, but there was definitely one thing they talked about and it never came out. It was something related to you put it on your finger and it does stuff.
That just sounds wrong as well.
I think you're just filthy. There's absolutely no innuendo intended on my behalf. So I mean, because the thing, I warn you guys now. I know Chris isn't here, and he will be for the Game of the Year stuff. But I warn you right now that Zelda, my whole argument. I'm not saying it's my number one, but I'm saying it's high. But like my whole argument's going to be, it's the first truly open world I've ever played. Like, games call themselves open world. I don't know how many hours you are into it, but I've never experienced a world that is actually open. Like, not like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm probably maybe 5 or 6 hours in, so not very far, but far enough just to see just how much there is still left to see.
Oh,
and, I mean, just the fact that you can near enough go anywhere. I mean, is it Gerudo Valley? Or near that area, and there was I think there's a tower, like, quite high up.
That's right.
And that was one of those things where I was just like, oh, I'm just going to go to that. And you literally can, you can just climb up the side of the mountain if you're adventurous enough and you've got enough stamina. And all sorts of other innuendos. Yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
There are even if you haven't got enough stamina, there's usually another way. Like I think I'd finished it and was just playing for fun, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And I had never really. I forget what they're called. I think you get them off pufferfish, and they can, if you attach them to things, they can make you fly. And like there was a shrine that I just could not work out how to. Zelda makes you think about games in a different way. This Zelda does, because like you kind of almost have to think about it in a realistic tense. Like you have to, like, there'll be a shrine surrounded by thorns and there's just seemingly no way in, and you start thinking about it in a gamey way, and you start thinking, well, hang on, so I've probably got to fly over the top or unlock something, and the answer is just get a fire and burn the thorns down. Like, because that's the way it works. And then, and there was one, that because it's so normal, you don't think of it. It's not, you're thinking in a gamey way. Yeah. And so I ended up getting a block via an amiibo, like a big metal block, amiibo, shock horror, and like attaching some of these inflatable pufferfishy things that I forgot the name of, using it to float up, then jumping off, and then using my glider to glide down into safety where the shrine was. And like, but that's viable, Yeah. That's a viable solution.
Yeah, there's so much
kind of incredible.
And even in the bit of time that I've spent with it, I'm seeing things like that. And I mean, just when you can set grass on fire, and if the wind's going the right way, it'll spread it that way, and you can take out enemies that way. And you don't really think of that in games most of the time. But I could talk about this for quite a while, I think.
I mean, have you encountered a lightning storm yet?
No.
So they're like, you panic when they happen because you start getting struck, but then the idea is just take off all your metal stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've got any metal stuff yet. Well,
I mean,
not
the
metal
panic
armor
sets in
anyway.
when you're sort of, you're floating through the air trying to get somewhere, and you're like, oh god, I just want to get there, and then you think, I want to equip my stuff. And Zelda's a magical game. So are you splitting your time evenly between that and Mario then?
Yeah, kind of. It's mostly sort of split 50-50, but I think it tends to be like Mario, you can play in shorter bursts, whereas Zelda, you lose a couple of hours. You sit down, and even if you think, I'll play for half an hour, you won't. You're playing for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. There's no way to stop that.
So have you got your eyes on anything else Switch related? I'm thinking of exclusive stuff that like non-indie games. Your Splatoon 2s, your Armses, your Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Not the minute, to be honest. I mean, my main thing was I wanted to get one from Mario, and obviously Zelda was the other one which I was always going to try. From there, it's kind of like, I'll see. I mean, the Kirby and Yoshi games are good.
Of course they will.
They're next year, aren't they? At some point.
Yeah, with Metroid, I suppose, probably.
I mean, Metroid, I'll be interested in.
Oh,
definitely.
I cannot wait.
But, yeah.
I think I can hear a noise. It sounds like someone grinding their teeth because you're mentioning a Switch. Nicola's waiting so patiently, aren't you, Nicola?
I am. Well, patiently, perhaps not. But, yes. I do have a Switch. I do have a Switch. I bought
you have
one.
A Switch in the house?
I bought one in a moment of madness on Black Friday.
I don't know, but that was madness. A moment of sensibility.
Well, yeah. I bought one on Black Friday. Got a nice little deal. Husband has confiscated it off me. Christmas.
Confiscated it.
Confiscated. So mine's just sat upstairs, hidden in the wardrobe. Well, it's not even hidden. I know where it
I
is.
was going to say, it's not hidden if you know where it is.
Not allowed to unpack it until Christmas.
Is it in your wardrobe? Like, is it hidden in your wardrobe?
It's in our
wardrobe. That's insulting.
It's in our wardrobe.
So it's just there, like in your room, presumably, in your wardrobe.
Yeah.
Just taunting you.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like one of those
did he
secrets in a
wrap it?
game which you can't get to till later on.
Yeah.
No, the box arrived and he took the box from me.
See, it's not even wrapped, so it's just there.
It's just
like,
there.
every time
It's
you open
out
your
of the
wardrobe,
box
you see
and
it.
everything. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a sore subject, Adam. It's an open wound.
Divorce grounds, I would have thought. Well, moving swiftly on. Unless you want to talk more Switch, Gaz. Obviously, it's your new purchase as well.
I don't want to bore people.
I think they're listening for our opinions, so it's fine. You can bore them as much or as little as you'd like.
Nah, I'd probably just say, it's a great console. I'm now seeing why there was so much hype around it. And I'm glad I finally got one. And hopefully Nicola will feel the same in,
I can't wait to get my
Christmas
hands
Day.
on it, to be
Weeks time.
honest. I honestly can't wait to get my hands on it. I mean, one of the first purchases I'll be making is Stardew Valley. I'm just gagging to play that on a handheld. I think it's just the perfect game.
I feel like your husband's decision could backfire slightly because
It's just mean, Adam. It's mean.
yeah, but I'm thinking, so presumably you're going to get it on Christmas Day right? But that doesn't that mean? Who cooks Christmas dinner in your household?
Me.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Not this year.
I mean, he might be getting beans on toast if he's not careful here.
Oh no, I like my Christmas dinner, Adam.
Oh, okay. So he's a clever man. He's hedged his bets.
I like
He knows.
my dinner.
He knows this.
That
Who
ain't
doesn't? But oh, okay. He's very clever. I might need to get
To be
some advice
honest,
off of him.
it's a bit of a joint purchase, really.
Yeah.
Because my son's made some noises.
That's your
about
boy.
it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I suspect that Tom, my son, will play on it more than I will. But yeah, there's a few. I mean, Mario and Zelda are definite purchases for me once I get my grubby mitts on it. I don't know about much else, to be honest, at the moment. There's a few sort of ones that I think that I've maybe missed on other consoles. I can imagine
you finding something in Splatoon 2.
Do you know,
Because
somebody else mentioned that today. I just can't be bothered with it. I play
it's
so many.
It's a different kind of shooter that I feel like you might... It's difficult.
Maybe.
It's difficult.
Maybe. I don't know, I've been kind of put off with some of the faffiness of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think ARMS is my bag. I'm not
I don't.
ARMS.
I'm not keen on ARMS.
I
think some of your kids might get. Well, saying that, my kids aren't fussed at all about ARMS.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't know. I definitely want Mario. Definitely want Zelda, and I definitely want Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, a game you can already buy. Yeah,
a game I already own, Adam.
You already have bought. Yeah.
And I'm absolutely not buying Minecraft. I'm not doing it.
You 100% are. You definitely are.
Yeah, you are.
It's not happening.
It's gonna.
No,
inevitable. It's inevitable.
I'm not going to let me bully. You're not bullying me into it.
No, listen, you don't have to. No one's going to make you, but you are going to. It's inevitable. It's funny, like you're talking about like Mario and that. It sort of that I haven't seen my Switch for some time because my youngest is like I think the last game he really got this. I don't want to say obsessed because he's a child and that sounds wrong, but like addicted to. Well, that's just as wrong. But the one that he played this much was Overwatch. And he still plays Overwatch at least every day, I would say. But Mario Odyssey, he not only like got I think 500 plus moons. He did the hardest level in the game, and I think he got to the point where he liked it so much. I looked at I sort of the TV that he plays on is next to where I'm sat now, and I looked over when I was just working away. I think I was editing a video, and I looked over and I was like, he's playing. I just looked at him and said, how are you doing that level? Because I don't want to spoil too much, but there's in this game you kind of go to a new area and you do something like I think you fight the first boss and then it kind of changes the environment, not in always a significant way. Like one of them, it just changes the weather, that kind of thing. And I'm looking at it and I said, how have you got it back to the state, the back to before state kind of thing? And he goes, I've started again. Like, what? He goes, yeah, I've just started a new save, and he's going through it again. And that is some indication of
just how good it is.
It is a very good game. It's but I want to play it a little bit. I can't get on it.
You'll just have to wrestle him off, Adam. Wrestle him off.
Oh, he'd beat me. He's strong. He's a strong lad. Gaz, what else have you been playing then?
I suppose going on from sort of the Mario theme, I've been playing A Hat in Time.
I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this, especially because you're playing it at the same time as Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, it's not a good comparison, I've got to say.
Really?
Yeah, it's good, but I don't know, there's something not right about it. I mean, the camera's awful, I've got to say.
Really?
Yeah, it's bloody awful. It's not too bad once you turn up, like, because by default it's got your sort of your help on, so as you're moving forward it'll aim it where you're going kind of thing, and I had to turn it off because half the time I was trying to make a jump and it was just like, no, I'm going to point over here, which is completely the wrong direction. I was just...
Okay, I didn't see any of that in the PC version, so that's interesting.
Maybe it's a console thing.
I'd hope not.
I didn't find, like, the actual platforming's a little bit imprecise. There's times when I'm trying to make... I mean, there's one level, there's like a massive tree at the beginning. You can climb that tree. It's a bit of a faff getting up there. It's designed to be quite difficult, but I eventually did it. It took quite a few attempts because a number of times I was trying to make a jump and it's like the depth perception isn't there. So I'm trying to make the jump and I'm nailing this, but for some reason I'm overshooting it or something like that. And I don't know. It's a decent game.
You're really worrying me here because I really liked the game on PC. Like, I found it, I think if you compare any platform game to Mario, it's going to fall down. But like, even this has like, I'm thinking, so for example, the mobster world.
Yeah.
The boss battle for that I thought was just so inventive and fun.
Yes. No. It's like I say, it's not a bad game. I've enjoyed it, but I don't know. I just don't see it being as good as it could have been. It certainly does a better job than Yooka-Laylee of making.
God, yeah, like
it reminds me of Mario Sunshine a lot.
Yep. I mean, if comparing it to Mario Odyssey is unfair, I think comparing it to Yooka-Laylee is equally unfair.
Yeah, Yooka-Laylee shit. Just yeah.
That's coming to Switch soon, isn't it? Or is it out? I can't remember.
I don't know. Just set it on fire. Just get rid of it. Maybe I'm sounding a bit harsh, but yeah.
Spoilers, I don't think Yooka-Laylee's going to win Game of the Year.
Who knows? Chris might really love it. He doesn't. Go on.
But I mean, Hat in Time is the same sort of principle as it's making like a game that's supposed to riff on older classics and stuff like that. And I mean, one of the levels has like a Metal Gear reference, which is quite fun, and there's a lot of variety to it. I did like that.
Don't forget about Mustache Girl.
Yeah, but
is it me or is the voice acting? It's not.
Good.
It's not. It's not bad.
No.
In terms of like the people doing it haven't given bad performances, but it isn't good, is it?
No, it's just like
kind of intensely annoying.
Yeah, it's especially when you meet the dancing penguin and the weird Scottish director kind of thing, and it's just like, yeah, this is quite poor, but it sort of fits because it's daft, and it's at least it's not the chirping of Yooka-Laylee, and I know I keep going back to that, but God, I hate that.
It's got character, it's got characters, but the characters have got character.
Yes, I think it's just a shame they're not used as much as they could have been. But yes, it's not a bad game. It's just not as good as I thought it'd be. And that's not being unfair. Like, I'm not comparing it to Mario Odyssey. I'm just, in general, I just didn't think it was as good as I was hoping.
Okay, I mean, you're reviewing it, so interesting. Would be interesting to see what score you give that eventually. What else? Anything else on your sort? Because I mean, they're relatively new games.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've been sort of catching up, really, not just on the whole Switch side of things, but yeah, I've gone back to. I picked up Lego Worlds recently.
Yeah.
It was in a PSN sale for like £15, so
what do you think?
I'm really enjoying it. So I've played it a bit before with
What format are you on? Sorry, just out of interest.
PS4.
Okay, sorry. Carry on.
I played it a little bit with my friend's little boy. Like, he loves it, and I sort of got into it a bit there, and then seen it on sale, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to, and it's just fun. You know, it's just like, you're not pressured into doing anything, you know, it's just like, you just go mess about, go discover things, build, destroy, whatever, just adventure if you want. And it's always giving you free stuff as well. You know, like, there's sort of seasonal content.
Oh, okay.
So, like, there was recently, like, Ninjago stuff for the Lego Ninjago film. You got a bunch of free things. There's a Lego City one, which I think has just finished. It just gave you stuff like police stations and fire stations, that kind of thing.
Right.
And now there's a Christmas one.
Is it...
Cool.
Is it... Have they fixed it? Because I played it on PS4 and I was quite stunned at how buggy it was for a game in 2017. Like, I encountered multiple bugs that would like need to be to restart and stuff. Like, it was really buggy, and I was really saddened by that because I actually thought it was quite a cool game, but I couldn't play it because of this. You know,
I've not noticed any of that. I mean, its frame rate isn't great at times. You know, now and again it'll dip, but I've not noticed any bug. Nothing that's kind of breaking the experience.
Right.
I played it on Xbox One and I didn't have nearly half as much problems as I remember you reporting, and I remember somebody else reviewing it, and I think they were playing it on PS4 and they just said it was just an absolute mess.
Yeah, it was real bad.
But it wasn't... I mean, there were a few times where it sort of crashed and I had to restart. I remember one time in particular when I was travelling between worlds, it sort of really didn't load. It got stuck at like something like 59%. I just, dashboarded and reloaded and it was fine.
Yeah.
But I certainly didn't experience the levels of bugginess that I remember you talking about at all. It just seemed a lot more stable on Xbox One. I mean, the Lego games are weird, aren't they? Because they're really good fun, but there's problems with them that have been with them since they first started. I mean, the poor camera angle is an obvious one. There's lots of things that they just haven't seemed to have sorted. No matter how many times they push these games out, they just have the same issues. And I think Lego Worlds has an element of that as well. I mean, particularly the camera angle is awful sometimes.
It is. Of all of the games, that has got the worst one, I think.
I liked it though. I thought it was good fun.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it. It's a nice game. Just to it's got the whole Minecraft thing. You can just go and dip into it for half an hour, just mess about, build something or not. You could do whatever you fancy, and just once you're done, turn it off.
I found the building a bit fiddly. Have you done much of that, Gary?
Very.
Only a little bit, but yeah, I kind of see that. It seems more, I don't know, like set on you just using the standard stuff that you're given, like the play sets kind of thing, which kind of makes sense. But yeah, when you try and just build brick by brick, that kind of thing, it's not easy.
You also, as well, I mean, I like building, as you know, but I for some reason Lego's a bit more complex, isn't it? Because you've got different shapes, different bricks, and all sorts. And I couldn't really get my head around it. I kind of needed one of those things. When you buy a Lego set, I could have just had it, in front of me and built it, recreated it in a game. So I can build in Minecraft, but they're all the same sort of shaped blocks, so it's pretty easy. But having different sizes and widths and all sorts, in the end, I just use the pre-built stuff that, I just plonk down anywhere.
I'm with you. It's so fiddly, and combined with the bugginess, like, I just gave up. And I thought that's a bit of a shame. I mean, I don't think I'll ever go back. It's too late now. It's just that there's too many games above it that need playing. Right? You know what I mean? That I want to. And I think that's a great shame because I think there's a lot of promise. I don't know. Like you said, Nick, the Lego games are in a bit of a weird place right now because they are actually innovating, and the last few have been really good. But I don't know. They're just so saturated that
my dad
really
loves
needs to
them.
be,
My dad absolutely loves them. I mean, he's asked for one for Christmas. And he's 72. He absolutely loves them.
Yeah.
Loves them.
That's fair enough.
I just
Fair enough.
wonder
He
where they
platinums
could
them
go.
and everything. He gets one in the winter, and he spends like all winter pretty much playing it. Because in the summer he's out. He's part of an aero modelling group, I don't know. But he goes out and posse. He goes out with his cronies and goes and flies his model aircraft. So he's out most of the summer, and in the winter he sits and plays a Lego game. Loves them.
That's fair enough.
Think of worse ways to spend the winter.
Well, indeed.
Yeah. Gaz, anything else on your list, mate?
That's about it, really.
Okay, Nicola, what on earth have you been playing then?
Well,
yeah,
I don't know whether to go for the one that's making me cross. Well, they're both making me cross in different ways, to be fair. But I've been playing Final Fantasy 15 because, of course, I have.
The 15th of them.
Because, of course, we're in Game of the Year sort of area, and I've got a stack of games that about amount in.
One from last year.
So I've decided, I'd play an RPG from last year. Why not?
Yeah. Fair enough.
I've never played a Final Fantasy game before.
Ever.
Not
a single.
No, that's a lie. I've played about 3-4 hours of 7, and about half an hour of 8.
Right.
And I gave up with 7 because I just cannot abide the random encounters. I did the same with Lost Odyssey.
Okay.
I know Lost Odyssey isn't a Final Fantasy game, but
in all but name it is though.
I just could not stomach the random encounters. I just don't like it. I want to just be able to choose my battles. And I know you can run away from them and stuff like that, but it just used to irritate me. So I never got really that very far into it. And then I picked up Final Fantasy. I don't know if you recall, but at some point earlier on in this year, there was a mistake price on PSN of $7.99.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I bought it.
I got that as well.
$7.99. I thought, I'll have a bit of that. So I picked it up then. I thought, well, for $7.99, I can't go wrong, really, for a first attempt. And I'll be honest, I'm enjoying playing it, but I'm a little surprised by it.
I'm surprised you're enjoying it. If you put a list of games that I would think you probably wouldn't enjoy, I would have put this on it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's very good. I've got to be honest. I think it's a poor video game.
Blimey.
I mean, I was having a bit of a rant about it. I don't understand how it scored fairly highly. I think it's on an 8.1 or whatever on Metacritic. I did some research before this podcast, so I know it's an 8.1. I'm just trying to, sound like, I think it's an 8.1. I know it's 8.1 on Metacritic.
Yeah.
And I don't think it deserves that at all. I think it's really bland. It's a really dull game. There's nothing.
Interesting.
It's just it's beige. The game is beige. The story's not particularly compelling. There's bits.
You see, you need to watch the Blu-ray, the Kingsglaive Blu-ray.
This is the thing. I think this is part of the problem. The fact that Kingsglaive exists. I think that is a bit of a problem, really. I mean, because the whole game's saying, this is a Final Fantasy for fans and newcomers alike, but,
it's not,
you really need to watch this anime that we put out. That isn't for newcomers, is it, really? If it's saying, to be invested in this world, you need to watch the anime, which I haven't done, by the way, so of course
it's actually quite good.
It was really weird for me, because it's like, I've played a bit of it myself, not loads, but there's like one bit, I think it's fairly early on, and it's cut into like scenes from that film. And
that is exactly what it's doing.
But that's it, but it's like, you're not getting the sound from it, though. You're just getting music.
No, and you're also getting, I think, if I remember correctly, it's a lower quality video quality as well, yeah.
It was poor quality.
It does.
But it was
I remember, because I had seen the Blu-ray, and I watched, and then I played that, and I was like, what on earth are they doing?
Yeah, because I've not seen it, but it was one of those things that I saw that, I was like, wait, have I got is this a bug? Is it supposed to be sound? It's
no, that's exactly how it was.
Yeah, it was just some really stupid decision to be made there, and it was just like, why? Why have you done that? I've got no interest in going watching.
There's lots of whys. Have you done that? to be honest, in this game.
It's a game where I think someone said, "Here's the kitchen sink. What can we get in the kitchen sink?" And nobody stopped to think, should they put it in the kitchen? I don't know why I'm using the kitchen sink. I've not even got it right. It's throwing the kitchen sink at it, isn't it? But it has everything in it. It's like every JRPG trope you can imagine they put in it, and they never stop to think, does it need it? That is one thing I will agree on. I think it. I think it does look nice. Like there's no, you can't.
It doesn't though, Adam.
Really, I think it looks lovely.
This is the thing, right? The cutscenes and the character modelling, with their stupid hair, is incredible. The detail on the faces is incredible. But the actual world itself is a bit. It's not very pretty.
So I did play it on PS4 Pro, so I'm not saying that's it, but I did. That might make it. I did like I liked it. I liked the game quite a lot, but I don't believe for a second that it's a game for fans and newcomers. Like that was the big thing. They were like, "Oh no, it's for for long-time hardcore fans, which is me. It's for you, and for newcomers, it's for you." I actually think it is more for newcomers. Because to me, they'll never make the Final Fantasy I want, and I'm okay with that. Like I understand why they won't, but this. I say for what it was, I really liked it, but it's only to me. It's another one of those games where like the characters are just I hate them.
Utter tools, Adam.
But that is, I think that's an age thing, and I want to talk about that some more in a bit. But like they are.
Oh my god.
Horrible.
Oh my! I'd never tire of punching any one of them, and I think that's that's part of my biggest issue with it is that the group of lads out on a tour is just, they're so desperately unlikable that
uncool despite the design to the
well, they're
other
kind
end,
of growing on me because they are just so detestable. I mean, you've got the main guy, Noctis, who's just some floppy-haired, angsty teen, like, oh my god, everything's just, like, so difficult for me. And he ponces around the place, and of course I've dressed him like the total tool he is, and he's got a baseball cap on and a friggin' puffer jacket. And I'm just like, you're such a wanker.
Yep.
And it's really amusing me that these characters, you've got, like, what's his face? Ignis. I have a new recipe. He's such a pompous
he's
ass
the British one, basically.
all the time. You've got Gladioli, or whatever his chuffing name is.
I can't even remember.
Gladiolus or something. I keep calling him Gladioli because it amuses me. I mean, my God, that character model is just horrific with the shirt open. I'm just like, oh my God. And then you've got that annoyance who just takes, is it Prompto, who just takes photographs all the time. Now, there's bits in it that I really like. I really like the photos, and I really like laughing at them at the end of the day.
Never would have.
Well, no, I mean, it has its own photo mode, but I can't bother to use it. I'm just amused by the ones that Prompto take, and I do have a little giggle sometimes at some of the ones that he takes because they're just ridiculous. And there's, I quite like the little camp that they do, and Ignis makes them a meal, and I kind of like that. And, I kind of like the idea that they're out on a road trip and they've got this car and, they're driving around.
Lads on tour.
Being lads on tour. I kind of like this premise, but then it just seems so incongruous with what you're actually doing. Like, you're going to these dungeons or these tombs of fallen kings and, like, capturing their sword, their weapon that is sort of imbued inside of Noctis. And it just is so ridiculous going through this cave dressed in a fucking puffer jacket and a baseball hat, fighting like imps and fantastical fantasy creatures. And then you arrive at the tomb and it's like he pulls a key out of his back of his jeans pocket, and I'm just like, for fuck's sake, it just looks ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And it's like this industrial, militarized sort of environment that you're in, and then you've got like.
It's also a kingdom.
Yeah,
like
which is also a
storybooky
kingdom. And then has these characters who are in like fantastic cavalier-style
young man.
knight outfits. Yep. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Why? Go with one theme and stick with it. Don't blend them all together.
No,
it
that's
just
not
looks...
the Final Fantasy way.
Oh, it's really
not
odd.
the Final Fantasy way.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. That actually amuses me, how bad all of that meshed together is. What else do I like about it? I mean, I'm kind of enjoying it.
Price.
I am. Yeah. I've recently got myself a chocobo, which I'm kind of liking. I mean,
yeah, chocobos are great.
I'm in this souped up like supercar, and then next minute I'm on a freaking
chocobo,
chuffing Big Bird.
Of course you are.
Sesame Street.
That's Final Fantasy. I don't.
But
it did surprise me though when it starts off the game with is it Stand By Me?
Yeah.
Playing, like a cover.
Oh my
of
god,
it.
yeah.
And it's just like that. I did not expect.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I'm like chapter 6. So I'd say I think there's 14 chapters, so I'm close to halfway in terms of chapters. I don't know how close I am in terms of actual hours. But I mean, I'm enjoying playing it, but I don't think it's very good. And another thing, I initially thought the fighting was quite cool, and I still do think it's kind of cool.
It's quite weird.
But I've just got a new power where I can call in like a fucking massive god or something, like this huge
a summon
that comes in, which was really cool. I was like, whoa, that's amazing. But I've actually just tweeted before I came on the podcast. I tweeted a video of me trying to fight a group of enemies out in the open, and all of the action's obscured by bushes. I can't even see what I'm fighting. And of course, it has all of these prompts coming up. You know, like if you time a block perfectly, you'll get a counter. Well, I can't see any of it because I'm behind the fucking bushes. It's just, oh my God.
It's especially bad inside, that was, I remember. Like the camera inside is especially bad at obscuring everything. I figured they'd have fixed that, but apparently not.
No, they have not, Adam. They have not fixed it. And it's really bad. So I just... Like I said, I keep saying it. I'm actually quite enjoying playing it. I'm just shocked it scored so well. I mean, this is 6 out of 10 for me. This it's poor.
I mean,
it's very poor.
You put, what, 15 hours in? I'm guessing then. Give or take.
Yeah, 15, 16 hours, something like that. Yeah. Because I'm following. I'm doing actually what I don't normally do. I am actually following.
Just doing the story.
The main story. So I go off the beaten track when I'm not quite levelled. And one thing I am quite pleased with, because I remember with Lost Odyssey, you had to do a fair bit of grinding before you could continue with the main story. I've been quite pleased that so far my XP has kept up, or my level has kept up with pretty much with the main story, so it hasn't needed an awful lot of me going off doing the side missions. And in fairness, the side missions are okay. I mean, they're starting to repeat themselves a little bit. Yeah, I've been doing that. That is kind of cool. And I've been doing some other bits and bats, but they are starting to get a bit... See, this is another thing. So, Ignis cooks... And that just happens, you know, if you stop at a camp, or he'll pick up I have a new recipe. And he'll level up.
Yep.
Gladys will pick up stuff on a battlefield, and that's how he levels up. And then you've got Prompto, who's just snap happy. He's a man after my own heart. He levels up really fast as well. What is the point of chuffing angsty Prince fishing? He's boring. Who wants
because
to go
Japanese
fishing?
Game developers really like fishing.
I don't get it. And I've actually got to go out of my way to level it up. I can't be arsed with that. It's boring. Rubbish.
Well, I mean, I'm frightened to ask what else you've been playing now, but
Well, this has been irritating me, but in a different way.
Are you all right, Nicola?
No, I'm very angry.
Well, at least you're honest. Yeah, clearly.
No, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Fuming.
I've been playing a bit of the old Call of Duty.
I've heard of it. Yeah,
have you heard of it? It's an FPS.
New series, but yeah.
I've been playing that war mode, which is the kind of new mode that they've added in, which is very much like Battlefield Rush mode.
Yeah.
And initially, when I played it in the beta, I wasn't impressed. I thought it was rubbish. But I really like it.
Yeah,
it's frustrating as hell. I mean,
is it still full of Call of Duty players playing it like Battlefield, though it is actually Call of Duty, or is it evened out now? Like people playing the objective, I guess.
It's a mixture.
Okay.
Like if you come across a team who know how to play an objective, and you're just a random in a team of COD players, you will get overrun very, very, very quickly. But in the main, I think people are starting to understand how you play it a bit better now. The thing that I'm finding frustrating with it is the sniping. Now, I have been doing an awful lot of sniping in Call of Duty because it is incredibly fun to do. And I'm not normally a sniper. I'm like the worst sniper ever. But it is so much fun in this game because it's literally, you just have to point in the direction and you'll get a headshot. And it's very satisfying to do. But in this game mode, it just becomes a bit of a pain. Like at least in Battlefield, you need some skill to snipe. You've got to account for bullet drop and all of this, that, and even wind and all of that kind of stuff. Now, of course, the maps are nowhere near the same size as Battlefield, and it's Call of Duty. But you're against a sniper who can one-shot kill you in the chest, let alone the head. And you've got an assault rifle that takes at minimum 3 shots to kill. It's just, it's a bit unbalanced. And often, certain maps, there's one map in particular where the second objective of it is the attackers need to build a bridge so that the tank can come across.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to, the only way you can do it as an attacker is to lay down smoke because you're just sniped constantly. And you can, people are even sniping you through the smoke because of the auto aim on the weapons. You can just like wildly spray and you'll inevitably get somebody, even if you're just blind firing into the smoke. So it's frustrating me in the sense that I think that it could be a really good game, but because it's Call of Duty in the way that the weapons work in Call of Duty, and particularly the snipers, I think that it kind of needs a bit of rebalancing.
Needs a tweak.
Yeah, it does. But I actually really quite like it, and I've got a few pals who've picked up the game as well. So we've been rolling as like a sort of team of 3. Which makes a big difference in an objective game because obviously if you're working with randoms, it can become a very frustrating game, particularly if you feel like you're the only one who's sitting on the objective. But at least with 3 of us, we're sort of half the team. So we can push the objective. And there's been a few games that we've won. We've literally won in the last second because I've been laid underneath the tank. Like, you will not pass. So it's been quite good fun. So yeah, they're the 2 games I've been playing.
Okay, nothing else?
No, well, actually thinking on, I have played What Remains of Edith Finch. I picked it up and I played it on Saturday afternoon. It's not very long. It's like 3 hours tops,
yeah,
I think.
3-ish.
Something like that. So I played that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hesitate to ask too much because that's one I think is going to come up in.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm being a bit hesitant.
I mean, I've sort of said a lot recently about like Horizon Zero Dawn. Since the last podcast, I have got the platinum, but I think I'll save the rest of my thoughts for the Game of the Year stuff, because like I spoke a lot about that recently. But speaking of Game of the Year, one thing I've been trying to get through and I've been intending to get through for a long time is Night in the Woods.
Yes, that's on my list too.
Yeah. That's another sort of that one, because I don't know if I like it. Like, I feel like I should like it. I feel like it's a game that's right up my alley, and it certainly looks. There's no second of that game that isn't, just stunning.
It's got a really interesting art style, hasn't it?
Yeah, but the actual game part, like I hate myself for saying this, but I'm kind of waiting for something to happen. Like
those games.
Kinda, but like there's a section that I was playing. I won't spoil, so I'm gonna go back a little bit. But there's sections where it's just like each day you wake up and just go hang out with one of the two friends you can choose to hang out with, and there's a little vignette. And some of them are more involved than others. And then every time you sleep, there's like a little platforming section. But it's not really it is a platform game, but it's not like it's not fully a platform game. And it's incredibly well written, but they've also kind of all got the same tone. Like every character sort of has the same tone, which is a bit odd. And I, similar to what you were saying about Final Fantasy 15, like I don't know if this is because of my age, but I'm finding it really hard to like any of the sort of main characters, like May the cat that you're playing.
I don't think you're supposed to like her, though, are you? She's deliberately, from what I've seen of it.
I mean, she's a complete arsehole.
Yeah.
Caveat: so far, I'm about 3 to 4 hours in. I didn't know it was like 8+ hours. I thought it was like 4.5. That kind of game is usually that long, isn't it? It's not usually 8 to 10. So I'm quite surprised when I was told that. But I don't like any of her. Well, I mean, like Greg is the fox guy that everyone sees. He's got the cones on his head. That screenshot's been shared, and he's funny at first, but he is kind of a dickhead as well. Like she is. Like they're both kind of just douchebags. And yeah, she's not very likable, and I wonder if that will change. And I wonder if in a week's time, or even 2 weeks for the Game of the Year, I'll be like, oh no, it's an amazing game, amazing story, goes so well. And something interesting did finally happen, but I feel like I'm forcing myself to play it because everyone's told me that this is such an amazing game. I feel like, well, I must see it through, but I'll be completely honest, I just kind of want to start Assassin's Creed. But I've started Night in the Woods twice now, on PC and on PS4 now, and I'm further in this time. I've got to see it through, but I really hope something happens.
You're not selling it to me.
And maybe that changes in a week. Like I say, hopefully I'll have finished it this time next week. But at the moment, it's like, when a lot of these games are quite clever, and the idea is that you're supposed to kind of come to your own conclusions. This feels almost heavy-handed. It's like I almost 2 or 3 in-game days ago, I'm like, yeah, I get it. She's a dickhead. I get it. Like, can we move on now? Because I get it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's me being impatient, but I'm going to stick with it because I do want to see it through. I don't know. Yeah, more to come on that, and I think that I know Chris really liked it. I think so. I mean, we'll see.
Okay.
Doom VFR. Which, do you know what the F stands for in Doom VFR?
No.
Do you know what the F stands for in BFG from Doom?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's the same.
It's literally supposed to be.
It's Doom virtual fucking reality. Now, I like this, but it's not the Doom we loved from, was it last year?
Yeah,
that's the thing that got me when they first showed it. It was kind of like, this doesn't look like it's the same game. It feels, I don't know if it is or not, or if it's not. It's just a completely separate thing.
So it's separate, but I don't think. The environments are similar because it's the same place, but it's not. You're not Doom Guy. You're some guy who speaks, and immediately when he speaks, it threw me because it's like, 1, oh, I'm not Doom Guy. 2, oh, this guy shouldn't be speaking because he's me. And And 3, why are his hands attached to his ears? So one of the first things you get in this is his hands are really high up, and I thought it was a bug. Like, oh, have I got my setup wrong? And I watched some videos of it. It's like, oh no, he has got his hands attached to his ears. It's actually quite a good VR shooter. It's no... I'll stop myself there because I can't think of an amazing one. It's cool, and it's a very typical VR game in that I put a screenshot out there, and it's like that at the time was like wow, and then I looked at the screenshot, I was like, oh, this looks fucking awful.
Yeah,
like because VR screenshots don't do a game justice. Like, you know, looking up at a Cacodemon or I don't know or a Revenant. Revenants are, oh my god, they're they petrify you. They're so scary. They're these enormous things. And, you know, you grab your shotgun or your rocket launcher, your plasma rifle, any of the Doom weapons, and it's so cool. It's not a game I would recommend first-time VR users play because you'll throw up. Because almost any VR game that lets you have free movement, which I am in favour of, by the way, I really think people should make games that allow free movement. You can put the teleporting in as well. And in fact, this game's at its best when you're using both, because on the D-pad you can do like I guess it's like a quick strafe. Yeah. So like a dash, I guess, left, right, up, down, so it's left, right, forward, backwards. You can use L2 to point a thing somewhere and you can warp there, you know, like the teleportation. But you can also just freely move with the left stick and use your head to look around. And it's definitely visceral in the way Doom was, but it's also not quite there, because obviously although you would think you would have more control, you don't. You know, you don't have you have the reactions you have. You don't have the reactions you have when you're playing a 60 FPS. You know, Doom. I mean, Doom was amazing, and it's nice to play Doom, and the enemies look cool, and you move around really bloody quickly, and it's really good. It's just not quite Doom good. Like I say, one of the things they make the mistake of right away is allowing the guy to talk. Which one of the things about Doom guy is he doesn't speak, does he? It's just this. Like,
does it still have like the glory kills and stuff like that to get your health back and that?
Yes, but they're called... What are they called? So you shoot an enemy and they turn blue like they would for the glory kill.
Yeah.
And then what you do is you quickly point your teleporter hand at them, and you teleport into them, and that kind of does the glory kill. It's not actually the glory kill. You don't seem like punching the shit out of them, because again, that would take the control off of you. You know, it would ruin the VR, the immersion, because you're not controlling your hands. But yeah, you kind of warp into them, and they just explode into a load of gibs, like jibs or whatever they're called. And
that's disappointing.
Well, but I don't know how it would work.
The glory kill stuff was great. You know, it just
I loved it.
Yeah, same. It's one of my favourite shooters in a long time. This is good. Like this is good, but I will not go any further than saying it's good. Like,
it's cheap, though, isn't it? It's not.
It's cheap, and it is short. It is, and it's good. Like, it's not a bad game. It's a good VR game. It's just not. I thought it was gonna. I don't know why. I thought it was just gonna be Doom in VR.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say I haven't tried this yet, but I have seen this. I am looking forward to this. So once you get, they get the collectibles, the little Doom guys that you can collect.
Yeah.
They unlock original Doom game levels, like the original Doom.
Oh dear,
the first one.
Playing that in VR. Oof.
Well, no, but what they've done is you still have the weaponry, and it has the enemies, the modern versions, but it's the Doom maps, and I really want to try that, because that's incredible sounding, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Well, that was cool. They did like the snap map stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that's the main one.
Pretty sure I played that
in VR.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's a cool idea. I like it. I don't know where they go with it. I really, 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 really want them to announce Doom 2, because it's definitely going to happen. Like, it was an amazing game. The reception was incredible. Like, I appreciate. I mean, you've got to imagine it's next year, right? Because they had Wolfenstein this year.
Yeah.
You've got to imagine Doom 2 is next year, right?
They did kind of, I mean, no real spoilers, but there was definitely, they left it open for...
Oh, there's no hinting there. They 100% left it open for Doom 2.
Yeah, so it's like, they've got to do it. It's a weird one, that game, though, because it's like, at the time I remember playing it, I was like, this is good fun, but I wasn't blown away like everyone else.
Oh,
but
God,
the more I think about it, when you go, like, you think about it backward, like, afterwards, I should say.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, actually, that was really fucking good. You know,
Doom, like it was just, 2016 Doom. Oh.
I remember Nicola talking about it a lot, and I had the same issue she had in that it was a bit too long.
Oh yeah, it's too long.
It's probably about 2 hours too long. You know, it could have done with.
I think that depends on the difficulty you're playing on. Because I think if I'd knocked it down the difficulty, I'd have found it easier, but I would have found it shorter.
Right.
Because I played it on the one above normal, which is I was recommended, and like it was a challenge, but it was oh my god, that game. I've
got so many videos of me with that soundtrack, and I'm just timing my glory kills with the soundtrack, and I'm just like, it's like a rhythm game. I was just in the flow of shooting and punching. It was a glorious, glorious game.
The soundtrack is very much. It was like how you remember the old Doom.
Oh, he nailed it.
You know, it was like that kind of sound, just sort of modernised, and fucking glorious soundtrack.
I found myself in that game almost in a trance at times, like you were saying, because each room was like a combat puzzle, and I found that I would kind of just be in a trance, and like that after it almost is like a real life thing, how you imagine it. Like, you know, there's just blood all over your hands, and you're looking around going, "Fuck, what just happened?" And then you're like, "Oh god, I want to do this again."
I remember saying to my friend who was struggling with it, and I was just like, "You gotta keep moving, just keep moving,
never stop."
Yep. Absolutely, do not stop. If you stand still, you're dead.
Yep.
Yeah,
you just
like,
move
you don't play
constantly.
Like any other.
And like I say, it's almost like a dance or a rhythm game playing it because that soundtrack is just pumping away, and you're like just dancing around the screen, punching and shooting and leaping. Oh, it's a glorious game. Loved it.
Yeah, and I will say that the VR part, it does get that kind of, not to that degree of intensity, but it does get that right. Like, do not stay still. Like, it's actually quite interesting because you still run around like you could with the left stick, but now you can teleport and do this quick strafe. It does actually add... that is the way the virtual reality, the VFR version of this game, feels like it tries to emulate that intense ballet of, you know, massacring demons. It just doesn't quite get there. And listen, I didn't expect it to be even as good as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm next up, I'm going to go on Skyrim VR, which will be interesting. But also, like, just last game, very quickly, I won't talk about it long, because I've not played much of it, is Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I keep seeing videos and people saying it's an amazing game. It doesn't have a good impression to start. It does not have a good first impression. I was talking to Nicola while the review was happening about this. I think JRPGs, someone needs to get a committee together and have a word and sort of talk about how they open games, because I feel like a lot of other genres have done this, where people who make shooters, they've all got together and gone, do you know what? The people who buy shooters know how to play them and know how they work. So although we have to be accessible, we have to also respect the fact that the likelihood that someone's playing World War II means they've probably played a Call of Duty before. They're like, you know, if we're introducing a new element, fine, we need to explain that and show them how, give them a chance to press. But RPGs, it's like, no, I understand the tropes of the genre. I get it. Please don't spend 6 hours starting. I know how they work. Please don't do this. Oh, you're doing it. Of course you are, because you always do. And I feel like, especially with a genre like JRPG, which is, let's be fair, a big niche, but nonetheless a niche, you know, I feel like they should kind of accept that the largest part of their market plays those games. Yes, this is on Switch. Yes, the Switch owners are desperate for a game all the time because they want new games. It just, I'm playing it like, can I fight something, please? Can you stop doling out narrative for just a minute?
Yeah.
You know, it's a veiled tutorial. And also, again, I've seen videos of it, so I know it gets better, but visually, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you've said this.
Rough,
I've seen some videos,
rough.
and I thought, it looks all right.
Yeah, I literally just watched, before we started, actually, Digital Foundry's look at it, and I'm like, oh, I actually maybe should go and play some more of this, because this looks really nice, but the opening couple of hours are like, bloody hell are they rough. I'm not used to games looking that rough. Right. I don't care what console they're on.
What are the tits like in it, Adam?
I've only seen one pair, and they're rather large.
Okay. Good.
You know, I mean,
as long as there's big boobs, I'm happy.
I mean, well, it's a JRPG, so It's a given.
Well,
I mean, I'm a fan of big boobs, but I mean, listen, even I'm like, okay, this is a bit silly. But look, I also don't care enough because, like, whatever. Like, you know, it is what it is. You know, I would love someone to make a JRPG where there's like a bloke and it's just like a massive bulge there, and just to see if there's any reaction, like just like a full on cucumber in a.
You've just reminded me. I took a picture in Final Fantasy. If you know, like, spoilers, but the game is over a year old. Where you go to the crater where that asteroid or whatever is, and there's that huge Titan. I took a picture of his package because he's like, he's basically Action Man. It's completely smooth. There's nothing there.
I thought you were going to say he's hung, but he's not hung. He's the opposite of hung.
I was very disappointed, especially after Cindy's boobs like popping out at the garage.
That made me feel quite uncomfortable earlier.
You were just expecting like Watchmen.
I was like,
massive like Dr. Manhattan.
Well, exactly. You know. It's just smooth. I mean, he was completely genital-less. I was very disappointed.
Well, that pretty much does it for a podcast. We said we want to get an hour, and we've done it. We've talked about loads of games, because, like I say, games are still coming out, and we're wrapping up stuff as well. Stay tuned to GodIsAGeek.com, and as usual, if you go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek and you pay $1 a month, which is less than £1 a whole month, you get every week's podcast early. Sometimes you get it really early, like we've been giving them out on Sunday night, Monday morning, but this one, because we've been recording other stuff and, you know, organising lots of other stuff, this one's going to be a Tuesday for Patreons. And, you know, as at the top of this podcast, I said, welcome to it, it's Wednesday. Well, that's when everyone else gets it. So if you want it, and also the extra bit that you get if you're a Patreon, $1, less than £1 a month, and it, you know, goes to the right places. So there's that. You can follow Nicola at wavy_gravy, WAVEY_GRAVEY. You can follow, and he said, Chris, and then they did it again. I'm reading off a script. I shouldn't do it. I'm better off script, if I'm honest with you. But you can follow Gary at BlueFury47, the number. Myself at GBSF, at God is a Geek, obviously, is the main Twitter account. Facebook, we're God is a Geek. You know, just youtube.com/GodIsAGeek. We're everywhere as God is a Geek. And since I mentioned him, and I did this last time, Chris is at First Avenger 83 as well. Nicola, Gary, thank you ever so much for your time.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And we will see you next week for another podcast. But remember, after that, the week after that, you're going to get a podcast every day of the week, right up till Christmas Eve, where you're going to get the ultimate. That'll be day 5, will be the game of the year, the final episode. And we're even planning some stuff involving Gary, involving Chris, that will tide you through to New Year's as well. So let's hope we can find the time to do that. And, you know, again, you'll get that early on Patreon. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.